Hi, Miss Beverly here on the farm today. Wanted to bring you a little video. I hadn't brought one in a while. I'm not on camera today because, quite frankly, I'm wearing my Grumpy Cat Halloween pajama pants. And obviously you see my Crocs. Oh yeah, I got the Crocs on. But not on camera. Basically, I'm coming to y'all after been dealing with some issues with feeding the horses. This is, I feel like, a constant challenge when you own horses and you have them at home and you are self-managing 100% of their nutritional and supplemental intake. I'm a nurse, as I've told you guys many times, and I definitely believe in researching and looking into what things are supposed to be the best for, which horse and all of that. And my brief knowledge of horse nutrition led me to believe alfalfa was the most valuable hay available to horses. Certainly the most palatable, and very, very little waste with that type of hay. Problem is it's super rich. It's very high in protein and sugar. And suddenly, a few months down the line, I'm dealing with this guy who's probably somewhere between 100 and 150 pounds overweight. This is Ringo, as all you guys know, my equestrian newbie friends. Ringo came to me. We've had him about, oh goodness. Jealous, hey, stop it! Jealous over the hay. What do we, see, obviously they like this new stuff, right? But when Ringo came to me, he already had a bit of a crusty neck. And you can see here a little bit, he's definitely got some crusty neck. And I don't mean to laugh at that like that's funny at all. I have the vet coming back out to do fall shots and stuff and fecal count and blah, blah, blah. And I'll talk to her, of course, about nutrition then. In the meantime, I brought back the supplement Quiescence. It's fairly expensive. It's supposed to be for crusty neck horses. Easy keeper kind of horses, insulin resistant horses. Obviously, I don't know that Ringo is insulin resistant for certain. This was not a concern that the vet had when she evaluated him back in March, April. But he has not had this weight on, even though he did have some of this crusty neck. So I'm going to talk to her. I brought back that supplement and have been giving it to him. Obviously, it takes forever to really see a good result from a supplement a lot of times. But we're going to keep it pushing for him and make sure that he stays on it to try to really address that neck, get that, and then some of this weight off of him. I've also fully kind of transitioned into a grass hay. Now, this is a huge issue. If you look around here, where I'm showing you the camera out here, all of this is remnants of hay that has gone wasted. I actually bought a couple of hay nets to try to prevent some of that fallout that you see just everywhere around here. But needless to say, the grass hay that I had gotten was not a hit. You see it everywhere, and they basically went hungry as opposed to eating it. And I still have a bale left of it. So I went to another local hay place and found this hay, grass hay. That is a grass hay mix. It's about 10% alfalfa, and then the rest just grass hay. They absolutely love it. They must smell the alfalfa in it. I don't really see the alfalfa in it, so it's got to be a minimal amount. Um, uh, but they seem to eat it very well. We just got this. We're about a half a bale in, and we'll see. It seems to be going okay. This guy was thin when we first got him, or not thin, but just deconditioned and just needed more protein for muscle mass. Now I think he doesn't. He definitely's got a little belly on him now. Um, I, but he's still, you know, he's not got a lot of fat pads back here, and his musculature in the legs, hip, are still pretty well defined. Nice strong neck. He does not have a cresty neck. But he's carrying his weight differently, of course, than Ringo. This guy's 17. This is Smoke. So Smoke's carrying his weight a bit differently than my Ringo down here, who definitely just shows this weight gain for sure. So hopefully by adding the quiescence supplement, changing to the grass hay to remove virtually all of the alfalfa, we'll see some improvement in the weight fairly soon. I feel like it's just like with us as females, when when we gain weight, it doesn't take but 2 seconds to gain it, and then you're like months trying to get it all back off. So we'll see how it goes. I would definitely love to hear those of you that are responsible for feeding your own horses and purchasing hay and feed for your horses. Would love to hear, how you, what you're feeding and how you have gone about making any changes. Definitely anybody who's dealing with a cresty neck, ooh, please. This is just such a struggle that, and you have to be so careful because you worry about founder, you worry about, colic, you worry about all these things, feeling horses are just so fragile, I guess. And to a certain extent they are. But the feeding challenges are just really, difficult. And I definitely want to do right by my guys. I mean, they both have beautiful shiny coats. I mean, look at Ringo here. He's a fatty, but look at him. We feed a full supplement of vitamins and minerals, as well as now the quiescence, and obviously sand clear. We're doing a week of that every month for both of them because, for obvious reasons, look at the dirt. And I cut out, they had been getting a Nutrina special care feed, feeding them, basically a pound and a half twice a day. Took that out virtually completely and have dropped it down to just their supplements, and Ringo gets about a half a pound of the feed, basically just for a taste so he can get those supplements in. And Smoke, I still give him about a pound of the feed a day, just as a general, supplement to go, or feed to go with his supplement also, and make it a little more palatable as well. And I want to try to, build up his top line. That's one thing that I think suffers on older horses. And so I want to try to help him build that. That's the feed was supposed to be to do that. Any information you guys have on feed, I would love to hear. Otherwise, you see kind of how the guys are doing. We're having some fencing issues here, and Smoke had scratched himself all along this fence line, trying to run from Ringo, who's trying to be Mr. Dominant douchebag. And I didn't have any Vetericyn left, so a nurse, you know, trying to make do, I went into my medicine cabinet and got some gauze and hydrogen peroxide and came out and wasn't even thinking like, oh man, this might dye his hair. Well, it did. So, yeah, you know, it's just the funny things that you learn when you have horses at home. I mean, let's face it, these guys get into every imaginable thing and have a gazillion scrapes, scratches, bumps, bruises, random, you know, swelling areas continually, you know, from bug bites or whatever, or scratching themselves. I mean, you name it. But it has just been such a learning experience to get used to treating, you know, horses and wounds on horses coming from humans. But just the sheer number of them sometimes, you're just like, good grief, guy. You know, do I have the accident-prone horse? Yep, so here's my baby. One of my babies, I guess. Look at his coat, you guys. His coat is suffering already from winteritis. Look at this already. Some areas are super thick. Look at that. I'm in California. And you see Ringo's coat. I think I wasn't necessarily told the truth about where this guy came from. I know he was bred up in Oregon, and previous owners had lived in Wyoming or something, but I think they probably fairly recently lived there, because his coat has been growing in for about a month and a half. And it's been, in the last month and a half, we've had, you know, 85, 90 degree days. So, I mean, imagine this poor guy. So, and he started getting his coat so soon. I mean, look at his legs. Look how furry his legs are, you guys. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Can you see that? Look at that. Is that unreal or what? I don't want to blanket him because look at the day. It's like gorgeous here. It's going to be 80 degrees. You know what I'm saying? You're just miserable. I don't know what to do to keep his coat down. I don't know if we're going to just have to trim him, and I don't know. It's quite a mess. But he's my spooky horse, and I can't even envision trimming him in my head. Oh my gosh. Also, we got a new farrier. We had a horrible experience with a farrier, and who actually, you know, hit my horse with a hammer here. I mean, on the bottom of his foot, trying to, I'm assuming, keep him from acting out, but obviously when you get treated like that, you act out every time. So I got a new farrier, and her first time she came out, he had thrown a shoe and got it stuck in the fencing over here. And so she advised that, you know, for the winter, we should just pull the shoes on both of these guys. We're not really riding a whole lot out on the street, you know. I'm not doing that too much right now. Not with how they've been acting with riding. You know, I've been mostly just riding around the property. But she advised that, you know, it would be better for their feet. And she felt like this guy was looking not necessarily lame, but extremely uncomfortable and seemed to be tripping all over his feet. It looked like the shoes were placed too tight by our previous farrier. What's interesting to note is she had never met either of my horses and was easily able, even with this guy who had been difficult for the previous farrier every single time, there were no issues whatsoever, and she had his shoes off and trimmed and fluffed and buffed in less than 30 minutes, where it had been taking an hour. So, yeah, I guess there's something there to that. And this guy has always been pretty good with it. But I did notice that it was really weird when we first took the shoes off. He was always looking like he was walking on eggshells, like he just didn't know what to do. You know, it was really odd. watched him closely, made sure he wasn't limping or anything like that. I also asked her about any signs of any type of founder or previous founder or any even suggestion of anything like that in his feet. And she said, no, there were absolutely no indication of anything like that whatsoever. Thank God in heaven for that. And so we are going to continue to have her out every 6 weeks for trims and feet checks. Yeah, so, hey boy, watch your big old butt. Neither of these guys is particularly fond of having us lift up their feet. I can tell you that for sure. Especially him. But, yeah, so. Anyway, just a rambling little video wanting to connect with you guys and say hello, talk about our challenges with the feed and the hay and trying to weight loss here on this guy and some toning on that one over there. And yeah, so yeah, inferior issues. So, all right, look forward to hearing from you guys below. Please comment and subscribe, and thank you so much for staying with us. Have a great one. Happy Saturday. Bye-bye.